I've got gas. Now, before we discuss today's episode, let me warn the viewers that I'm sure this will hit a raw nerve among the cool kids. Like I always say in all my videos, my target audience is primarily those who would like to get into the EDC lifestyle but don't necessarily have the budget to be as cool as the cool kids. Now, first of all, let me remind you that EDC was never meant to be cool. And what I'm seeing in the community right now is that people or those who can afford it try to influence ordinary folks to get the latest and greatest and coolest gadgets available in the market. And this is true, especially when you watch YouTube videos about EDC stuff. And in all honesty, I'm seeing a very artificial EDC community. These are people who just want to be, yeah, like we said, cool. But in reality, that's not what EDC is all about. EDC is not about having the coolest and greatest gadgets. It's not about influencers. Although, admittedly, in my early days of EDC, I was also influenced by influencers. So there you are. My philosophy for EDC has a lot to do with the everyday emergencies that I encounter each and every day. Every one of us has those kinds of emergencies within the course of the working day, the working week, and even after hours when they're relaxing at home. Which is why I believe in tailoring my own personal stuff for my own personal needs. And over the last few years, the way I EDC pretty much goes against the grain of what influencers try to impose upon normal EDC practitioners like myself. So for me, EDC is a way to solve everyday problems. And EDC tools are designed specifically for that. As far as I'm concerned, my own personal EDC concept differs greatly from everyone else's, or at least everyone who thinks they're into the EDC lifestyle. So let's get into the what I personally EDC. For starters, I've always said that outside of the normal EDC items like your wallet or a pen, pocket square, or a handkerchief, you should have stuff to cut with, to fix with, and to light with. And in my previous video, I already talked about my everyday carry Leatherman Micra, which is half of what it used to be and is now a more compact package than its original form, and also my Jet Beam Mini 1 flashlight. Let's face it, EDC does not need to be tactical. That's one of the main problems that I see in the EDC community. Everyone wants to be tactical. In terms of what I EDC, well, aside from my Micra and the Jet Beam Mini 1, as a medical professional, I need to have small instruments that are related to my line of work. First of all, I carry with me a pulse oximeter, which is part of my vital signs kit or diagnostics kit. For another, I carry a small pair of scissors, which take the place of the larger X shears, which I reserve for heavy-duty trauma or rescue work. The next thing I carry is a small pair of Knipex pliers. Now, I use this primarily for opening and closing an oxygen cylinder. And in a pinch, I might be able to fasten or undo a full-size oxygen regulator. A pair of pliers can be useful in 100 different ways, especially in my line of work. And that's about all I really carry on an everyday basis. Now, my style of carry at the moment is mostly in the pockets, which is why I chose the tools that I chose. For anyone who's worked in the emergency medical services, they can certainly appreciate a slim and trim profile when you're working inside and outside of an ambulance. If you carry too many pouches, if you carry too much stuff on your belt, chances are you are going to snag into something, which has happened to me before, which is why I prefer that all my gear be stuffed in all my pockets, and that's about it. And lastly, why do I carry what I carry? I guess it's simple. Let's go back to why EDC stuff should be EDC stuff, which is to serve as a temporary or permanent solution to everyday problems. Do I need to have the coolest shit available? Of course, I'm way past that, and I've spent too much money and have made such a fool of myself over the last few years that getting serious with EDC means that I have to trim down and be very specific, very deliberate in my selection of whatever tools I choose to carry, which is why I am where I am right now in as far as EDC is concerned. So, for those of you who want to get into the EDC lifestyle, the best places to look for really nice tools or tools that may suit you, you can always start with the local hardware store. You can find EDC stuff in places where you would not expect to find EDC stuff. First, you have to determine what you need to accomplish in a given day, in the course of your working day, the working week, everyday chores. You have to think about that. Next, you have to determine if you have the budget to acquire what you need to acquire. And lastly, is your current lifestyle conducive to carrying stuff? What do I mean by this? If you find yourself walking in and out of heavily guarded buildings, if you work in an environment where blades and other sharp tools are prohibited, that's going to influence your EDC equipment greatly. If you take the train every day for work, you have to consider what you have. So, considering how you conduct your daily business and what tools you can carry should be in sync with each other. Don't expect to carry a heavy folding blade and take it into a train. That's not gonna happen. Work around your current circumstances and find the tools that are appropriate, whatever your line of work is. And that's where you start. You don't start by watching too many YouTube videos about this and that cool knife or multi-tool or flashlight or whatever, because at the end of the day, these will all get very expensive, and like me, I've accumulated so many things that I'm seriously thinking about letting go of a few of them simply because I spend too much on them and I don't get to use them much, and that can be a burden on the budget, especially for regular folks like us. And that's been the long and the short of it. This has been Absabando for Manila Sentinel Raw. Don't be influenced by influencers.